Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard. They control my breathing while I'm riding. It stops me getting concussions while I ride. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. In the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back.
Lights are bright on
Week
Friday
9,
night.
2A football,
Texas
and we're
town.
here to talk about it. Hello, everybody. It's Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here, sideline to sideline. The 2A edition brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus, also brought to you by Big Country Blitz, and a couple others we'll be talking about down the road. But here we are. We're at week 9. 3 weeks left in the regular season. We're already almost through October.
And then the playoffs.
Into the playoffs. But hang on. Let me get you. All right, try that again. Where will we be?
What?
Your volume wasn't up. So
okay. I said playoffs, man. Can't wait.
Hey,
a lot of these games are getting into deciding district championships and seeding now, which is fun, but man, it's hard not to look forward to the playoffs.
Well, you and I have talked about this before. It's so funny that we wait and we just all year long for the thing that also eliminates football, the playoffs. I mean, it's right. It's crazy how fast these 10 weeks will go, or 11 weeks. And then for some reason, I always say, I think partly because it's the holidays, the 6 weeks of the playoffs, everything just slows down.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, everything matters, especially those first 2 weeks. It's like for me, NCAA basketball tournament, I don't watch it like I used to, but I used to really get into the first 2 weeks because there was just so many games going on. And that's how it works.
My camera? I don't even see the camera.
It's right up under the light. Did you like how I did that?
The lights are like just blinding me.
Oh,
that's cool though.
Are you blinded by science?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Science. Kelly LeBrock.
Oh, she could blind me. She doesn't look bad today either, folks. I mean, some of it's obviously some work's been done in the wrong places or whatever you want to call it.
Live in the Westwood area of Palestine.
Oh,
maybe?
We'll be talking about that on the 3A show. Big news coming out of the 3A world as the NCAA.
We're not talking about that part of it.
I know what you're talking about that we can't talk about, but holy crap, I wish we could. I almost want to start a new offshoot site that you don't know it's us called TMZ High School Football, because some of the things we get from coaches during the year will blow your mind and other things. But anyway, let's get into what we do here on the 2A show. And if this is the first time you've ever watched or listened, if you're listening on the audio podcast version. By the way, I do apologize. Last week, didn't get any of the audio ones. Usually what I do is I like to put those up on Friday mornings, kind of like hey, while you're driving to the game, listen. my mother-in-law fell and broke her hip, so I was away from the studio. And it was one of those things like 3 o'clock on Friday. I went, oh, crap, I forgot. We will get those back
you
out.
made me go to Troop USA by myself.
I was a little sad you didn't eat at the cafe we were going to eat at.
I was a little bummed that I had to go by myself.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, because you could not stop cheering for like 10 minutes. And I heard something about, let me go look up my Troop Black Book, which is, I didn't realize.
I didn't have you with me, so about 5 times on the Troop sideline, I was getting asked who I'm with, like, I guess to kick me off the sideline, and then oh, okay.
It's so weird, and to be fair, you're hearing this on the 2A side. We've only been doing 2A for a few years, but we've done 3A and 4A sideline to sidelines for 17 years. And some of the places we'll go, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I love y'all," and then some of the places they're, who? Can we see an ID? Where is this link? Can I listen to some of this? And then 5 minutes after they listen, okay, could y'all please leave the thing? But yeah, you
can listen on your iPod.
On your desk iMac. You remember that with all the different colors?
Oh, yeah.
Bet Coach X had the pink ones. But anyway, so what we do here on the 2A show, each and every week, we review the week that was, we preview the week that is. We start off with last week, so that means we review. And we're going to start off with one I know we'll be talking about also on the Central Texas podcast. You can hear each and every week or watch with me and Kenny Heath. Italy beat Axtell 21-7.
Central Texas? What? I like Central Texas.
Okay.
I'm really knowledgeable about Central Texas.
So come up
here.
It's
not south. It's not north. It's not east. It's not west. It's kind of just centrally located. And I know a lot of the football teams. A lot of the 11-man football teams.
Matt Diggs will be proud of you knowing where Central Texas is in regards to the rest of Texas. But Italy with I think an upset as they beat Axtell 21-7, ending Axtell's 23 regular season game winning streak.
Isn't that weird? Like I knew Axtell had been on a tear, but did not realize it was a 23-game winning streak, regular season winning streak.
Well, again, to be fair, doing the Central Texas podcast has helped me do that because that's one of the teams that they're looking at. Their problem is they've gotten to the playoffs the last 2 years and beaten in the first round.
Yeah.
And so this year, they feel this is the year that they were going to be better, and they had been rolling all year.
Did you see what Italy's quarterback did, Garrett Wood? Man, so he had runs of 48 and 94 yards, but the story of the game is how he really just kind of took over the game in the second half. He ran for like 198 yards in the second half alone.
Well, I mean, the Gladiators do what you're supposed to against a great offense, and that's play keep away.
Yeah.
And I think I saw in the stat they were like 9 of 8. That'd be really awesome. 8 of 9 on third downs. And I mean, not only is that a killer for the defense, but man, that kills the offense on the sidelines because you're mentally getting ready. Here we go. We're about to get in. Oh, no, we got to wait 3 more plays.
Right.
Really big win for the Gladiators. And for the Longhorns, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. It kind of allows them to, okay, we do need to figure out some of the mistakes we've made this year and in this game and get going from there.
Hey, Italy moves to 6-1, man.
Yep. And they're in the driver's seat in that district. And you're talking about a district that's really, it's Axtell, Italy, and then kind of everybody else. Dawson is okay this year. They're going to make the playoffs in this district, but they're not world beaters by any stretch to compare. They got beat by Axtell a few weeks ago, 37-6. So, I mean, really that barring somebody just really pulling up a big upset, Italy basically just won the district championship in that game.
I think so.
And we're getting to that point of the year where that's happening now. Playoffs are being, locked down. My hometown, they can lock down an official playoff spot this week. And so you're going to start hearing us say more things like this team has just clinched the number 1 seed and things like that.
In my hometown, we'll get an early start on basketball here pretty quick.
But it's not like y'all are in the best basketball district for y'all either.
All right, Wink, 34, our and 21.
Big win.
Yeah, Wink's Kimed Fascine ran for 192 yards and a touchdown. This is Fascine's 11th straight game with at least 113 yards rushing going back to last season.
Everybody was wondering how they were going to do after losing a really good, talented senior class last year. They had went combined, I think, 22-3. And really, last year, their season ended. They felt a couple rounds short because Munster pulled off the upset. It's Munster. I don't really know how much of an upset that is.
At the time, I think it was.
Yeah, at the time. But
looking back on it, obviously.
Yeah, and especially now because you realize how great Munster is at the run defense, and Wink likes to run the ball. And everybody was wondering, so what are they going to do after they've lost Creed Fritch? And what they've done is just keep rolling. I think Wink is one of those that feels in a very, very deep region. I mean, we're talking, we keep talking like over in the 3A show. If you listen to that, we're always talking about Region 1, Division 1, Region 3.
Yeah.
I think Region 1 and Division 2, 2A is just as packed.
I could see, I could see your state champion coming out of this district.
I kind of feel
if they can survive the gauntlet that's in front of them. I mean, there's several teams here in this region that have everything they need to get to Arlington. Yep. But will they be able to stay healthy, beating up on each other through this gauntlet? Because this is just a murderer's row of a region.
I totally agree. And you make a valid point, though, because we've seen that many times where the team that survives that tough region in the semifinal, they just don't have it. They are just
no gas.
No gas left. You can only push that pedal so much.
Yeah.
Lovelady, they keep pushing the pedal as they go to 3-0 and 11-2A play as they beat Alto pretty convincing, 42-21. I feel like we're in a renaissance. Not that the ground game has ever left high school football in Texas, but it
wasn't featured.
Yeah,
right?
It feels like we're getting more featured, and Loveladies being one of them. 319 yards on the ground, averaging 6.5 yards per carry.
How do you stop that?
I mean, you just hope to win that first down to make it first down.
Is that a lot 15. Of traps and counters, whams?
Sweeps.
I mean, yeah. This is just old school lining up in the eye.
Yeah. Oh, man, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Alto, look at them, though. After the drama they had the last couple of years, they've quietly put together a 6-2 game season, 2-2 in district. They have a huge one with Overton. And talking about tough districts, 11-2A Division 2, man. You've got Grapeland 6-2, 3-1 in district. Lovelady 3-0, 5-2. 3-0 in district, 5-2 overall. Alto 2-2, 6-2 overall. Mount Enterprise, who, if you want to go look and start looking at who has beat a bunch of the really good East Texas 2A teams this year, it's been Mount Enterprise.
Yeah.
They're 6-1, 2-1 in district, and then you got Overton 5-2, 2-1 in district. The team a lot of people felt was a region favorite, and they're fighting for their playoff lives. A really good team is going to be out at fifth place and be sitting at home for the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that's District of Doom right there. Collinsville 55, Lindsay 21. Collinsville just continues to do it on the ground, week in, week out.
Yeah, we've brought it up many times. Having maybe the best 2A quarterback, in 20 years in Logan Jenkins. He graduates. What are you going to do? And Coach Garrett Patterson says, that's fine. We're going to run the same concept. We're just going to run the ball more, and we're going to be more powerful. And I think maybe it's going to make them an overall better team in the playoffs, because what has always happened to them is they get up against the Albanese and they can't stop the run, and then they can't hold possession because, they just can't keep doing that. Now they can at least work in that run game, work in that power game, and they can play keep away. And for Lindsay, they do it too much to that side. Man, Lindsay can run the ball with the best of anybody in the state. The problem is when you're playing a physical team like Munster 2 weeks ago.
7 in the box.
9 in the box, as Coach Carney said on the Munster show. He's like, we were getting to the point where we're running 10-1 without even trying to, because you just realize with Lindsay, that's the only thing they can do. I still think Lindsay has the run game to win a couple games.
I'm telling you, when you're so one-dimensional, even when you're really good at being,
you're going to get caught.
Yeah, the combination is only one click away. You've got 5 of the 6 numbers already. So, a team like Lindsay that's really good at that one thing has got to be perfect.
and you're learning too that Lindsay's defense has been covered up by that offense all year. And so when they get into a game where their offense isn't holding the ball for 8 minutes every quarter, their defense is struggling to make a couple stops.
Right. All right, Ganado 61, Schulenburg 31, a 30-point win for Ganado of a really good Schulenburg team, right?
I mean, this is a Schulenburg team that it would not shock me in any way if they're playing Ganado later on in the season in the playoffs. I mean, this and the thing is if you're Schulenburg, you got, and again, we don't know when these points are scored, but you got to feel good about yourself. You're scoring 31 against a Ganado team that's really good, and yet you're giving up 61. And Ganado's just, I don't want to say quietly, because they are number 3 in the state, but that East Bernard loss kind of got the shine off of them. Everybody was talking about, well, it's their turn to be what Timpson was, to get revenge this year, blah, blah. And it's like everybody's forgot about them. And lo and behold, man, dude, they're just still doing what they do down in Ganado.
Yeah, you're right. Here's two teams, Abernathy 38, New Deal 0, and then Post moving on to 7-0 with a huge win over Olton 48-6. So Abernathy and Post, both the Antelopes, right?
Yeah.
The same area, just making hay right now for the playoffs.
Yeah, New Deal, the last few years, they have just been so great. 9-4, 9-4, 11-2, 10-2, 14-1. This year, they're 0-2 in district. But I mean, it's not like they're playing bad. I mean, not playing bad teams. They lose to Post, they lose to Abernathy, the two teams that are above them. So you have to wonder, can New Deal, now that they're in the part of the schedule that they should be competitive, will they be able to pick back up? For Post, we kind of brought them up on the show during the preview show, and we talked about what Coach John Wright was doing there, and was like, look, they have struggled the last couple of years after being a team that for 5 or 6 years you just penciled in at the region championship level.
Right.
Then they hit a pothole. Coach Wright has rebuilt them slowly. 16 returned this year. They were 1-9 last year. And I mean, it's, you can say, oh, well, they're not beating the best teams. Well, no. But I mean, when you go 1-9, any win the next year, especially when you've ran 7 in a row, and if they beat New Home this week, they will clinch a playoff spot. And then
Absolutely.
Abernathy, man, we talked about this all season. Like, this is going to be one of those teams that they're going to drop into 2A. It might take them a little bit, but they're going to figure it out. They immediately played 2 big dogs in Stratford and Sunray. They took their wounds, but man, they have bounced back since then. And again, any of these top 2 teams out of 2A, again, talking about this region now in Division I, still a tough region. Any 2 of these 2, Abernathy or Post, are going to play for a while.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Both of them might actually.
Yeah. What a game here. Shelbyville and Timpson. Shelbyville outlast Timpson 58-57.
Again, we've said this over and over. Everybody's talked about, what would this team be without Bussey? And, all the offense. And you and I were talking about, look, that offense was great, but man, losing Amari Bruton, Cam Bennett, J.K. Adams, and Tyler Lane, all defensive guys.
That's huge.
You and I were more concerned about their defense. And lo and behold, the games they've lost outside of the Wolf City game, and that does get with the, J.J. Garner went down very early in that game. But, I mean, they've given up 58 to Shelbyville. They gave up 63 to Westwood. We'll talk about that in the 3A show. They gave up 48 to Lovelady. All solid teams, but you can't be giving up that amount of points.
Right.
And now Timpson is one of those. I still think they're going to find their way into the playoffs. But look, 11-2A Division I has been completely flipped upside down. Garrison and Timpson are trying to fight to survive for the playoffs. Joaquin and Shelbyville both can start clinching their spot for the playoffs this week, with Joaquin playing Timpson and Shelbyville playing San Augustine. I got to watch some of that I got to watch some of that Garrison San Augustine game this past week on NETSN, and Garrison looks like they're rounding into form. But it's hard to tell. San Augustine's a little down this year.
Yeah.
But I do think it's time to admit it. We said it last week. I think we said it 2 weeks ago, right before the show ended. I think Shelbyville's the real deal. And I think Shelbyville more and more could end up making a deeper run into this region than people think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we were going to do the whole, and we'd do it anyway, I would label them and Honeygrove as my 2 favorites right now to meet for the region final.
Well, I mean, all things considered, it's just a wide open region.
It
right?
is. It really is.
I feel like naming your favorite right now is almost futile because you're down here in 2A, one injury, 2 injuries, and that's it, right? So it's whoever can win the war of attrition through the first few rounds, this next few weeks through district, and then the first couple of rounds in the playoffs. The healthiest really solid team is your likely favorite there. And in 2A, it's so hard to tell, though,
Yeah, and I'll flip that. It's not only war of attrition, it's the sophomore that's on JV that you don't know how they'll adjust, and boom, when they hit varsity, it's like they never were not there. I mean, that's how Terry Bussey got, formed his freshman year. He steps in and boom. And so, yeah, the 2A always has that biggest swing, and especially in a region like this that has so many teams that all feel like they're at about the same level.
All right, Shiner 21, Fall City 3. What a great win for Shiner, man. You know, Shiner drops their first 3 games of the season, I guess it is.
Yeah.
To top 10 teams, basically, in higher classifications, right?
Yep.
And then they take on Fall City here, who is a very, very solid 2A team. And Shiner just has their way.
Yeah, you know, we even said this after, I think it was the Rice Consolidated loss, like you cannot write off Shiner.
Yeah.
And Fall City, by the way, their losses were the exact same way. They both played Poth and lost earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fall City lost to Three Rivers to begin the year, 28-17. If I'm not mistaken, I think Three Rivers won that on the last second play. But, you know, both of these teams, you never look at their records because they're always going to play tough teams. I mean, just looking at Fall City last year, I think they were region semifinal or region finalists, and they lost 5 games or something like that. But it was all really tough games for Shiner. That defense is starting to get into play. It's been a really fit start season because 2 weeks ago Charlotte forfeited on them, and it just kind of left Shiner with that extra week off. And so it's curious to see how going forward that will be. But the thing is other than Fall City, I don't think anybody else challenges in this district. I know Yorktown is 6-1, but go look at who they beat, and nobody on that schedule that way. And no knock to them.
Right?
Yeah, no knock. You play who you're on the schedule. But I'm just saying they play Shiner at the end of the year, and don't be surprised if that's like people will be, oh, this is for district. It's 2 unbeatens in district, and Yorktown might lose by 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Right. All right, Wolf City 28, Tom Bean 27. Another great game. Wolf City's H.D. Davis runs for 305 yards with an average of 8.5 yards a carry.
And you know, for Tom Bean, so much hope, and this is going to be the year they might go as far as they finally did back when it was Chad Worrell running the thing and Buddy Hanson was running back. They started the year off great, 4-0. And then they hit district, and it's 0-4. And this was like the death knell. And this is why this game was really, really close. Tom Bean knows the score here. I mean, Tom Bean, even if they win out, there's literally no hope unless Trenton is sitting in at the 4th place spot, which it could happen. But I still think Whitewright will be there. Yeah. But yeah, so for Tom Bean, just a kind of a shocking, unexpected drop. Wolf City, I was waiting for this game. They beat Timpson a couple weeks ago, really big win. And then
how do we follow that up?
Yeah.
Right?
And they destroyed Nakona, and they kind of played with Trenton a little bit before separating them. And I was really curious. And I talked about this on the KETR segment.
You know, there's no killers on their schedule until Tom Bean, if you even want to consider Tom Bean a
killer, no, I mean,
right?
As far as in district, 100% right. And then you got Whitewright. And this is a solid district, but none of these. And by the way, I want to make sure to the fan, my bad, it's Alvord. Is that how you say it? It's Alvord. I say Alvord. My fault.
I say Alvord.
Yeah, Alvord. So anyway, we do appreciate you listening. And if we get if we ever get your stuff like that wrong, just email us, Grant and Terry at S2S.
Well, email him. I don't need to hear it.
Well, you're the one who checks the emails.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so Grant and Terry at S2Ssport.com. But we appreciate that.
If you receive a scathing email back, that's probably Terry.
It might be minutes after the Georgia win over Texas, and I've had a little bit too many vodka on the rocks.
TV now.
Oh man, I am glad I've passed that point. I do appreciate that we grew up in an era that you could throw something at the screen, and the screen was so thick it wouldn't even bounce off. It would just bounce off. Yeah. You know the sound, so I know you've done it before.
Now
now you don't even want to. Like I'm afraid to even watch the screen, and I'm gonna do it too much. But anyway,
well, I tell you what, going back to Wolf City, they can really pound the rock this year. Man.
I feel like we just keep saying that happily. Again, the hat. We believe
run the damn ball.
That is one of our big credos. We love passing games, and we have not we don't believe everybody should run, flex bone and run. I mean, that would be awesome, but. Just run the ball, folks. It's not that hard, and Wolf City's figured that out. And I saw that Timpson game on TV, and dude, their line is big, and they move well too. They use those guards, and they'll pull them and they'll trap them, and they use that H-back, fullback, tight end, whatever you want to call him, really well. But I am curious.
H-back, wow.
Yeah, no, you don't. Just blows on.
Second coming of Tom Osborne in Wolf City. It's fun.
Hey, Tom Osborne had to start somewhere.
Yeah,
so maybe there's one in there. Speaking of running the ball, Honeygrove destroyed Alba Golden 42-7. Levi Beavers had a monster game. He forced a fumble, 9 tackles, had 3 touchdowns. Oh, he threw for 112 yards too, because what else did he have to do that night?
It sounds like one of those cases where like Levi Beavers, they just sneak down to JV on a Thursday night Do what you want to do. Okay. Here we go. All forced fumble, 9 tackles, 3 touchdowns. Oh, I'll throw for over a Benjamin.
And all the plays are in the dirt, like he's running. Okay, you're going to run to the official. Hey, don't move, official. You're going to run to him and turn in. I do want to remind everybody, all jokes aside about Albert Golden. Albert Golden's a solid football team, and Honeygrove is the epitome of the walking wounded.
Yeah.
If you combined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver injury issues with San Francisco's whole team injury issues, that's the Honeygrove Warriors.
Now,
But here's
Honeygrove's getting healthy.
well,
right?
that's the scary thing. They should be 100% or as close as 100% as you can be starting next week. They are on probably the most needed bye week in the history of Texas high school football. And then, of course, next week, they've got Cooper in the big 9-2A plus just a big rivalry showdown. And, you know, for all the talk we keep talking about,
And they close out their year with or their regular season with Cooper and Pewitt, I believe. Right?
Yeah, they'll beat the Braves out of Pewitt. Yeah, I think
Pewitt
it is
at home right now.
Yeah,
you know, you never know which Pewitt team's gonna show up.
No, you're
right?
not wrong about that. And Pewitt's much improved, but I mean, they're a year or two away. And so
but I'm telling you, Pewitt's not an easy out if Pewitt decides to not be an easy out.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. And so, again, for all the talk about this region, if Honeygrove is 100% healthy with everybody else taking that step back, we go back to they're a team you're just going to have to keep watching out for.
Yep. All right. I think the last one on the run sheet is Stanford and Anson. Stanford beats Anson 43-0. Christian Duran threw for 201 yards, 2 scores. Kason Vega runs for 114 yards. And get this, that Stanford defense limited Anson to just 127 yards of total offense.
Man, that's impressive. Again, it's not like Anson is necessarily world beaters, but Anson has proved themselves this year to be a team that can score points, scoring 51, 49, 50, 34. But in the last 3 games, their 3-game losing streak, they're playing defensive teams, Albany, Hawley, and Stanford. And what's happened? They've only been able to score 17, 7, and now being shut out. Yeah. That's why you and I always talk about it's not just records, folks. A team can be 5-0, and that's real pretty, but you got to tear back and see who they've played.
Oh, yeah.
And for Anson, they're now 0-2 in district. They've got Olney this week. They'll beat them. It's Cisco.
It's Olney.
Oh, excuse me. Olney, excuse me. It's Cisco in 2 weeks.
Just I didn't want somebody from Olney giving me a scathing email.
I just want somebody from Olney to email us. But they've got Cisco in a couple weeks. Both of them are going to make the playoffs. But
Cisco's got a huge one this week against Hawley.
Hey, let's go ahead and now go to the preview section of the show.
Well, let's start. Let's not throw a kink into things. I want to start with a place that, buddy.
Having a little glass
Speaking of kink, we'll be in Sunray.
Oh, yes. Well,
I don't know why that would be kink.
Unfortunately, I will not be able to go. This was already a timed. This was my bye week already. I was doing family Halloween with my grandkids and all.
Boring.
Yeah, I know.
Family is boring. Football is not boring.
And this is why
this is 28 years of doing this, and you still haven't realized that family is boring.
That's probably why I'm on multiple marriages.
Lots of family.
Yeah, because
you only have one game.
No, you're right. I have lots of family because I haven't understood that family comes first, so they keep leaving and I have to find a new family. I'm like the movie Stepdad.
So,
I just move on.
Panhandle versus Sunray. Yeah, I'll be there.
Dude, I am so jealous of you.
I know. 2 7-0 teams. Man, let's start it out. Panhandle's quarterback, Broxton Robinson. Did you see what he did last week? 152 yards passing, 220 yards on the ground. I mean, how do you stop that, right? Sunray's had a pretty good defense, and they got a really good quarterback themselves in Armando Lujan, who is pretty close to setting all kinds of national records, right?
Yeah, he does it different than Panhandle's quarterback. Luann's going to throw. I mean, he can move around, but I mean, they're about getting the ball down the field.
He's got really 3 really good receivers: Dawson Bennett, Ty McDowell, and Kagan Davis.
How do these teams do it to where whenever they've got a great quarterback, they just always – it's not just having wide receivers. It's having wide receivers that fit the roles you need.
Yeah.
And give the credit for Coach Bodum and the scheme and everything.
Oh, Coach Bodum, email me back, please.
Oh, yes. And Coach Bodum, please email us back. We like to know that it's okay that we come to town. You can go ahead and check warrants and all that. Under Grant, though, under Grant, check Grant Gracious. Just check that name. Don't check Goodwin. That's not a real name.
Yeah,
That's one of those when they call back the cop, they go, Mr. Goodwin, he has 72 aliases. He goes by Wonder Boy, Hot Chance. But anyway, this is, this is a game everybody's going to focus on these two offenses, rightfully so.
Sure.
This game's going to be won by which team plays. You don't have to play great defense. You just have to make two more stops or get 2 more turnovers than your opponent. And that's who's going to win the game, in my opinion.
Yeah. And who do you think is going to do that?
I like Sunray.
I do too. I mean, you look at, both of them are just kind of wiping the field with everybody, right?
And that makes it almost hard to get any kind of, of what they can do. But I'm going to go back to what we were just talking about when we were talking about Anson. Look at who they've played.
Right.
Sunray has beat Abernathy. Sunray has beat Stratford. Sunray has beat a really good Childress team this year. Sunray has beat Canadian. And I know Canadian's down.
They've got a more impressive
resume, yes.
for sure. And their defense showed up against those big teams.
That's
the thing, right?
Yes.
That's the thing right there. That's what sets Sunray apart is the defense. Now, that being said, when you've got a quarterback like Broxton Robinson, where now all of a sudden you might have to have a spy, or your
changes up
linebackers
things,
and your ends have to be a lot more careful,
100% right.
I mean, what do you when he can hurt you on the ground, that's tough.
And I do want to point out, Panhandle has played Stratford as well and beat them. They played Clarendon, a really solid team. They beat Wellington. Wellington ain't what they were a few years ago, but they're
still very solid.
Yeah, they're still a very solid team. So I don't want Panhandle fans for me to be saying they haven't played anybody. I just feel like Sunray's resume overall is just a little bit better.
And I think their defensive numbers are a little bit more impressive. So,
I agree.
Yeah, I like Sunray and you like Sunray. So I will see you in Sunray, Texas on Friday night. All right, Hawley versus Cisco. Hawley enters the game 7-0. Cisco with a very impressive 5-2 record. Give me Hawley. This is over in Cisco, and Cisco is a notoriously tough place to play. But I like Hawley in this one.
I'm going to go with Cisco with the slight upset, and I will.
It would be a slight upset, but that Hawley defense.
Oh no, they're great.
Quarterback.
No, Hawley is the favorite. I don't want to say they're the prohibitive favorite, but they're pretty close. But this just feels like one of those games where you say it, you go into Cisco. I hate to say it, it's not like it was in the 90s where it would be October and kind of cold and rainy. And how did we lose to Cisco? Purely pulling this one out of the back end. Give me Cisco in an upset.
Yeah. All right, Holland 6-1 versus a 6-1 Mason team. Mason's only loss was to Wall 28-6 all the way back in week 1. Holland's only loss was to Granger 34-22.
And that was like week 2 or 3. So both of these guys are on pretty long win streaks.
Yeah. This is a tough one, man. Holland, both of these teams can run the football pretty effectively, and their defenses are pretty darn good. But I like Mason's defense better.
Yeah,
right?
Man,
and
this is.
Give me the punchers in this one, but I think it's close.
Maybe I should have pull out my butt upset with Holland, but I can't do it 2 in a row. And also, I just think Mason at home. If this was in Holland, I think you could make the case. But man, I know it's not the exact same. It's been renovated, but that's still the Puncher Dome, and it's still hard to go into Mason and win. What?
No, I mean, is it? I don't know.
Yes.
I've been to Mason, but it's not like going into Death Valley or Kyle.
That was the weirdest pause.
Well, it's like, why is it hard to win? Because the crowd's on top of it.
That's just one of those towns everybody tells you. One of the first things I ever heard when, Mason, talking to somebody about Mason in a football capacity was, man, you just don't go into Mason and win. It's real hard to win in Mason. So I don't know.
Because Mason's usually pretty good. So it's hard to play Mason at home.
Dude, sometimes you just.
I'm not trying to.
You break cliche out of nowhere.
But I'm just saying. It's not like they're like Mason on a Friday night, is Death Valley.
Dude, they're on a 62-game home winning streak.
They're
on a 62-game home winning streak. How is that not impressive?
No, it is.
That's not true. I just made that.
Oh, okay.
I think their only loss this year was actually at home to Wall to begin the season.
Mason. Okay.
Yeah, but it's Wall. That doesn't count.
There's a golf course behind the visitors.
That's
side,
that's what makes it tough.
and there's deer that roam around. So
The coaches in the booth are looking back.
They ain't seen deer in Holland. Come on, man. All right, Bremond 5-2 where there's deer versus Chilton where there's no deer.
No deer allowed in Chilton.
No, there are deer, I'm sure. But Bremond, I mean, Terrence Scott at running back has been electric this year. Their quarterback, Sam Kosowski, really good. Chilton has been a little bit underwhelming, right?
2-5. But I mean, you look at it and they lost to Italy, which at the time he was like, man, they lost to Italy. But now, as we talked about in the last part of the show, Italy's pretty good. They lost to Marlin, they lost to Goldwaite, they lost to Mart, and then they lost to Frost last week. And that's kind of like where you start going, okay, maybe the Pirates aren't as good as what we thought.
Frost that plays their football games on part of a football field, right?
Part of a football field?
Yeah, I think Frost, their football field is also part of the baseball field.
Oh, one of those.
Like old Astrodome.
The
old Rams.
I watch a YouTube channel called 5 Point Vids, and he loves to do weird stadiums, and he just did one of like the weirdest baseball football stadiums, and that's always a weird.
Oakland was the same way.
I used to love it when you'd see them playing through the dirt. I guess that.
But it would only be like that when the seasons overlapped. Once baseball was over,
the dirt was gone.
Then the dirt was gone, and they would just put the turf or like grass or artificial turf back over the baseline.
Yep.
It was pretty funny. All right.
Old school.
Speaking of a good game.
Oh, by the way, who do you have winning that Chilton
this
game?
one, who cares?
Bremen. Right. No, Bremen wins by a lot.
Bremen wins, but who cares,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
No, I care. I like Bremen. All right. Here's a high-flying offense against a just dang solid, good team, and that's Hawkins, one of the better offenses out there, right? And they're taking on a 6-1 Beckville team with Jordan Prince and running back who's averaging 173 yards a game on the ground.
Look, this is one of those games that we circled because it gives us a chance to a little bit talk about Hawkins, a team that, maybe once every 10 years will go 7-5 and they want to put a banner up. But this year, sophomore Eli Smith just kind of ignited the record books early on. At first game of the year, he threw for 7 touchdowns. Since then, they've also scored 52, 50, 36, 80, and 52. So it's not a one moment thing. That's their thing this year. Now, the problem is when you play a good defense, they've struggled. I say struggled, still scoring 36, but they gave up 39. I am more curious about how does Beckville rebound, because, this was the thing that last year we talked about with Beckville. They started the year, they got beat by Timpson, and then they put their head down, they grinded out, they win 10 in a row before losing to Garrison in the second round of the playoffs. I want to see how they rebound now, because if you let Hawkins come into Beckville and that offense gets up early on you 21-0 or something, you could find yourself down really, really quick for Beckville.
Beckville cannot afford to do that.
No.
Look, Beckville has Arlington aspirations. I really do think so, with Jordan Prince and just how they're playing. They cannot afford to drop one and get boat raced by Hawkins, right? No. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think Jordan Prince is going to have a heyday on the Hawkins defense, and that Beckville defense is going to show their grit. Yeah, they might give up 28 plus, maybe 30 points or whatever, but I don't think they're going to let Hawkins just run roughshod on them offensively, right? And so I take Beckville. Don't worry, Hawkins. You're still the pancake capital of the world, or whatever it is.
They are?
Well, yeah, that's where Aunt Jemima's from. You never drove through Hawkins?
I have, but I don't remember.
You're not paying attention to signs.
That's it.
Be it city signs, warning signs, state signs, no signs.
Again, that's why I have so many families. Apparently, I don't pay attention to signs. But
you go into Hawkins, and it's like home of Aunt Jemima, so they're the pancake capital of the world, or Texas.
Look at that. Not only do we talk football, but we do day trips better than the day tripper. There we go.
I just drove through there. It wasn't a day trip. So.
Was it during the day?
Yes.
Was it on a trip?
Likely so, yeah.
Day tripping.
Probably to a
day
casino.
Tripping. Hey, day tripping with Grant and Terry takes on different connotations than the day tripper.
Now, which brothel is over here?
Anyway, are we done?
Brothel.
Are we wait, you just said brothel and commented on your own comment. You said, "Where's a brothel?" Brothel.
Well, because I don't think those exist anymore, and if they do, they're not called brothels.
Yeah, they're called Tinder
or amps. Or something
you know, now it's not. You don't ask for relations. You ask for a night out with a beautiful concubine on your arm.
How do you know this? You're married.
I don't know. That's what I read on Craigslist back in the day.
Back in the day
when they could do that. I don't think they could do that anymore. And it's so funny when the government said that they couldn't do that. Craigslist basically died. Like nobody was going over there to buy a 1998
I was
TV.
going to get a crock pot. Now there's not.
I was going to get a crock pot and a crack pot. What happened there? Anyways, that it?
Yeah.
That's going to do it for this week.
Somebody to give me a hand. Wink, wink.
We want to remind everybody, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, you can email the show, Grant and Terry at s2sport.com.
X down in Freer, Texas is perusing South Texas Craigslist or hand.
Wait,
is he still in Freer?
Is that? I don't know. He's always running around, dude. Depends on where the warrants are. He gets his from Soldier of Fortune magazine. Anyway, questions, thoughts, or comments, Grant and Terry at s2sport.com. You can hear the audio version of this show, s2sgrantandterry.com, or on all podcast platforms. The video, youtube.com/@L4 Media Company. And until week 10, he's Grant, I'm Terry. This has been Sideline to Sideline.
Things got tough, I'd rob that small town blind.